Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Everything Podcast. I am your host, Fozzie, or Cam, and I'm also here with my co-host, Will. How are you today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. I'm super excited that you're doing this podcast. I think it's an outstanding idea, and thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, yeah, glad to have you on. So this is basically just a podcast where we cover pretty much everything. And some of the things we'll be going over today are crazy celebrity news. So, like news on social media, stuff like that. And next, Will be hosting some sports news, and I'll probably comment on some of that. And then I'll be hosting some gaming news or game of the week. And then will be hosting a movie of the week. And that's pretty much everything we'll be doing for this podcast. So I'll go over here and start off with celebrity news. Some of this you may have heard, some of it you may not have, but let's get on with it. So for some celebrity news, we have popular YouTubers and brothers. Um, they kind of had a falling out on YouTube, and one of them, their name is Deji. They were in a boxing match, and he lost. And his brother KSI had some very harsh words to say, but the good news is they're back together, and Deji apparently didn't really care. So, yeah, that's great.
That is great for sure, Cam.
Yes. And after the success of the YouTubers versus TikTokers boxing match, which people on YouTube versus people on TikTok, the people who made that, they're called Social Gloves. They are coming up with U.S. versus U.K. boxing matches. So it's just gonna be people on TikTok and people on YouTube from the U.S. side and the U.K. side fighting each other. And the matches for that will be Austin McBroom versus KSI, Vinny Hacker versus Gibb. You don't need to know who all these people are, but maybe there's some people out there who do. Um, Bryce Hall versus Deji, DDG, I have no idea who that is, versus FaZe Jarvis, Landon versus Joe Weller, and yes, that is it for the Social Gloves Part 2, US versus UK. Those are the fights that will be on that. And also, this may not be definite. It was leaked from a Instagram post from Austin McBroom, one of the fighters in the YouTubers versus TikTokers fight. So it may not be 100% accurate, but it is leading us to suspect that this will actually happen. And yeah, that was a short drama section, but Will, you can take it away with sports.
All right, and a lot going on. I'm going to start with the NBA here, Cam, because there's obviously just a lot going on right now in the National Basketball Association. You have the NBA playoffs obviously going on. The Celtics just hired a coach.
Yeah.
So we can talk about all of these things, but I really want to start with last night's Eastern Conference Finals game 1 between the Hawks and the Bucks. It was in Milwaukee, and Atlanta came out with a 116 to 113 win
Oh,
in game 1. Trae Young, who has just been balling in these playoffs last night, had a double-double with 48 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. So,
man.
Kim, a big win for the Hawks last night, and
Yeah.
this team just continues to thrive under Nate McMillan, who they brought in mid-season after firing their old coach.
Yeah. Trae Young just completely did nasty. I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to me, Cam, that he's really just been able to find a way to play unselfish basketball. I don't want to sound like a homer here because I am a Golden State Warrior fan, but I think one of the things that makes Steph Curry so great is that he is an unbelievable point guard and he can make all these incredible shots, but he's also an unselfish player and he will pass the ball to his teammates and play an unselfish style of basketball. So I credit Trae Young because it seems like he's really been able to find a way to play like that as well in these playoffs. because he obviously picked up 11 assists last night.
Yeah. And from some other point guards, I won't name names, maybe Kyrie Irving. He could learn a few things from Trae Young when it comes to passing, at least.
Absolutely. And then I know that he actually started playing way more unselfishly with the Brooklyn Nets, but especially before he was at Brooklyn, James Harden could have taken some lessons on that as well, because he was just dribble, pass the ball to a teammate with 3 seconds left in the shot clock, and then they just have to force up a shot because they can't set up for a good one.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick. And, to be honest, Cam, I don't really care what James Harden's doing right now. I don't care if he's playing unselfish basketball with the Brooklyn Nets. This guy showed up overweight and flat out quit on the Houston Rockets at the beginning of this season. So I am flat out done with James Harden.
Yes, it is very sad that, he just couldn't motivate himself to just get into shape. And it's kind of sad when you look at it. But somehow he still manages to be nasty. And I feel like that Nets team without Kevin Durant would be falling apart with Kyrie Irving and James Harden. That would be bad. But luckily, Kyrie is friends with Kevin Durant, so I don't think he has anything to get too mad about.
Yeah, and putting aside, of course, the fact that he didn't score in overtime of Game 7 and his last shot was an air ball, Kevin Durant was flat out balling in these playoffs. Obviously had the 49 point, 17 rebound, 10 assists, or triple-double, and then he followed that up with 48 points Saturday night. So the guy, my whole thing, Cam, and me and my dad talk about this a lot. We're like, okay, he left the Golden State Warriors because he wanted to be, quote, the guy. And then instead of doing that, he just goes to another super team. So he can't really prove anything here. But, boy, he just proved everything because he was just sensational in these playoffs, Cam, with James Harden playing on a hurt hamstring. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Kevin Durant, I feel like he's just been one of the best players in the league for the last, 5 years, or maybe even longer than that.
Absolutely, and he just proved that in these playoffs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's some Eastern Conference news in the NBA. Let's move on to the Western Conference Finals, because we have a Western Conference Finals Game 3 tonight in Los Angeles at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ESPN between the Suns and the Clippers. Suns obviously leading that series 2-0. DeAndre Ayton obviously winning them Game 2 with that amazing dunk off and bounce alley-oop from Jay Crowder. What a play that was. So, Chris Paul, I believe at this moment he is still probable, so we could see him back tonight after being in the protocols. What he's done with the Suns this season, I have just nothing but respect for. So, Cam, this is all about the Clippers tonight, whether Chris Paul comes back or not, because you know what a 3-0 deficit means. That's awful.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, Cam, last but not least piece of NBA news, obviously the Celtics yesterday hired Ime Okuda, if I'm pronouncing it right. My apologies if I am not. Obviously, this is huge because I think a lot of people were kind of clamoring for them not to hire a white coach with the social injustice going on in this country right now and everything. So, the Celtics made a great choice. He was a Nets assistant last year, obviously. So I just want to get your thoughts, Cam, on this hiring for the Celtics.
Me being from Boston, I'm a huge Celtics fan, and I think this is like a great addition to the team. The fact that he was a Nets assistant coach and he knows how he had to handle Kyrie Irving, James Harden, which are probably some of the hardest people to coach in the entire league. So that gives me very high hopes for what he can do with this Celtics team, and Jayson Tatum's poor attitude at times. And
hold on, do you really think Jayson Tatum has a poor attitude? Like, Could you give me some examples here? What are you talking about?
I feel Kyrie was on his team, and I think Kyrie Irving showed him that it was okay to kind of like at the end of I think it was a playoff game last year. They were hucking water bottles at each other, throwing water bottles at Marcus Smart because he thought they didn't do good enough. That's an example of him doing that, and I think Kyrie Irving kind of imprinted that on him when he was here in Boston with him.
All right. Well, I personally totally disagree on this when it comes to Kyrie Irving. I mean, what did he do? He said and he promised to Celtics fans that he was going to come back and re-sign with the Boston Celtics. And what does he do instead of that? Quit, fold under pressure, and then move on to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep, and that's ridiculous. I think he kind of set a bad example for Jayson Tatum, who I think was in his first or second year that season, and
right.
He made Jayson Tatum think that it's okay to do that, to not that Jayson Tatum has actually quit and kind of given up,
not at all.
But he's not on the level Kyrie Irving has with the most ridiculous things that Kyrie Irving does.
Oh.
But I just don't think he has the greatest attitude towards players because he thinks he's just so much above players like Marcus Smart, which he is. But a good teammate and just a good teammate doesn't say that to their other teammate.
All right. Well, I mean, you're more up close to the Celtics situation than I am, but from an outside perspective, I actually could not disagree with you more on this particular subject, Cam. But disagreeing is what makes sports conversations and debates fun.
Yes.
Moving on to just a little bit more news. For the NFL, nothing major going on in the NFL at this moment, Cam, when it comes to news. Obviously, OTAs just finished up. We'll get training camp going at some time next month. But I guess kind of the biggest piece of news that you can pull out of the NFL right now is that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are going to be competing in the match 4. So it's going to be Brady and Phil Mickelson once again against Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau, the match 4, July 4th, TNT. So this is going to be exciting. So Kim, if you wouldn't mind giving me your take on that, and then I'll wrap up with asking you your thoughts on what is going on right now with Aaron Rodgers as he clearly wants out of the Green Bay Packers organization.
All right. So, about Aaron Rodgers, I feel he's a good player. I don't know why he would want to stay, but the reason I think he might kind of want to leave and he feels pressured to leave, I think it's because I believe who was the didn't the Packers draft a quarterback?
Yeah, they drafted Jordan Love 2 years ago.
I was just looking up who they drafted. I forgot.
And I believe that they moved up in the draft to get Jordan Love as well.
Yes, so I feel Aaron Rodgers may feel pressured to leave, that they're kind of trying to get him out and as quick as they can. So he doesn't really want to be with a team that just kind of wants him out sooner or later. He wants to have a good spot as a starting quarterback, a definite starting quarterback, not have the possible chance of him losing his starting position to a rookie.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, that is the reason, Cam, no doubt about it. Also, the fact that his coach, Matt LaFleur, didn't give the ball to him on 4th down in the NFC Championship game, which was just in one of the stupidest things I have seen in my short years of watching the National Football League. I mean, you don't think Tom Brady can march down the field and get a first down, which he did on a little dump pass, I think, to Chris Godwin. But just a pathetic decision. You mentioned what happened with Jordan Love, the NFC Championship game. Everything is just working toward the Packers, not just disrespecting Aaron Rodgers at all in this situation. And he wants out, and I don't necessarily blame him. And that relationship is just over. I just think it's over.
Yeah.
So, we got that. Looking forward to the match 4 with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. They obviously competed in the NFC Championship game, which the Buccaneers beat the Packers in, and then now we'll get them on a golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. So, those are the highest bits of sports news at this moment, Mr. Cam Freights, and I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, so that was a very interesting sports section there. So right now, I'm going to be going over some of our gaming news. And Will, if you have any comments, feel free to add. So, starting off, the popular game Rainbow Six Siege, a game I have never played before. I was just reading off the website Screen Rant and seeing some good gaming news, but so yeah, popular video game Rainbow Six Siege came out with a board game, which surprises me. And I believe the popular game Fortnite also did that. They came up with Fortnite Monopoly, which it seems interesting. It's a great way to get money for them, I guess, but it's nothing too big.
Right.
And a very popular game, Overwatch, has allowed crossplay. If you don't know what crossplay is, so there are people who play on Xbox, there are people who play on PlayStation, there are people who play on computer. Crossplay basically allows them to play together no matter what platform they're playing on. So, the Overwatch 1, I don't believe a lot of people still play that game, but it is a fun game. So, crossplay has come up for that, along with rumors of Overwatch 2 coming out more or less soon. And popular game Battlefield, a game I also have not played, at least in a long time. They have a new mode being revealed in July during an EA Play Live, which is probably just a live event for EA. And the video game Marvel's Avengers had a crazy bug that leaked people's IP addresses on the screen. So streamers could not stream this without people finding their IP and possibly finding their address, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely crazy, Cam. No doubt about it.
Yeah. And so finally for our news, the sequel to the, what would you call the third, we'll just call it sequel. So there's been a Spider-Man game for Peter Parker and a Spider game for Miles Morales. If you don't know who they are, they're basically just Spider-Man video games. And they'll be coming out with a new game, but it will have Miles Morales and Peter Parker both able to be playable. Whereas in the first Spider-Man, only Peter Parker was able to be playable, and in the Miles Morales, the second Spider-Man, only Miles Morales was able to be playable. And now in the next one, they're both going to be playable. That's not really crazy news, but it's something. And so finally for our gaming, we'll have a Game of the Week. And our Game of the Week is Subnautica. Subnautica is a game where you're basically just trapped in the middle of an alien planet in the ocean of an alien planet. You have to build a house, and you have to survive, crazy ocean threats. It has, it's a fun open world game where you can just be creative and go into creative mode. Or if you wanna actually play the game and have to, get your own resources, there's survival, which you can die in that game. But there's always a sense of urgency in the fact that you might drown at any point, or you might get eaten by a crazy shark. and you have to build a home just to survive. And also graphically, it's a beautiful game and it looks amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is our game of the week. And now, Will, going on to our final segment, we have, drum roll, movie of the week.
Alrighty, and I want to be very, very clear. Movie of the week. This, folks, I could be dropping a movie on you from literally anytime, any place, anywhere. I promise you that it will not be a movie that no one has ever heard of. But as Cam shared this idea with me in the days leading up to us recording this podcast here, and I actually watched this movie yesterday while I was in a very down mood with side effects from my second COVID vaccine. After watching this movie yesterday, I just thought, you know what? This is what I'm going to do for movie of the week. I don't know if you have heard of this, Cam, but this movie came out in 1993, and it is a Bill Murray movie called Groundhog Day, and it is just absolutely fantastic. It is about this weatherman named Phil Connors who lives Groundhog Day over and over and over and over again. And the whole, plot and storyline of the movie is actually genius because he lives Groundhog Day over and over and over again to teach him how to become a better man. And he is such a better man at the end of the movie than he was at the beginning of the movie. So it is just a great film. For those of you who don't know what Groundhog Day is, takes place every February 3rd in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and they bring out this rat called Punxsutawney Phil, and if it sees a shadow, then there's 6 more weeks of winter. Then if it doesn't, there's going to be an early spring. But it's just a great film, and out of the Bill Murray movies that I've seen, Cam, he had just his back-to-back of movies 1991 and 1993 are just, I think, a just brilliant back-to-back from Bill Murray. 1991, he had this hilarious comedy with Richard Dreyfuss that I just adore. It's called What About Bob? And then he follows that up in 1993 with Groundhog Day. So Groundhog Day, Mr. Cam, is my movie of the week.
I've never watched that movie. I'm a huge Bill Murray fan. I loved him in Ghostbusters 2. And
yeah, Ghostbusters Afterlife coming out this fall.
Oh, it is this fall. Wow.
Indeed.
That's awesome. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah.
And I also like the Christmas movie called Scrooge, where he plays basically a Scrooge character.
Okay.
But I believe they released a trailer for a sequel to Groundhog Day, and it's called Groundhog Day Again.
I think I may have heard something about this. That's interesting. I'd be curious to see what would happen.
But I have to watch the first one first.
Yeah, no. I mean, Cam, I would thoroughly recommend watching this movie. I mean, this is Bill Murray at his finest, and just a brilliant film.
Great. I can't wait to watch it.
All right. But anyway, that is my movie of the week, my friend. And I know I mentioned What About Bob? I don't know if you've seen that. That was Bill Murray's movie from 1991. I just think brilliant back-to-back from Bill Murray with What About Bob in 91 and then Groundhog Day in 93. If you wouldn't mind me mentioning What About Bob to people who haven't seen it, Cam.
Yeah, sure.
So, What About Bob, 1991 comedy with Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. It is literally, and I'm not lying, my favorite movie ever. It is just a laugh riot. It is about this guy named Bob Wiley who follows his therapist on a vacation without the therapist's permission or knowing. And you would actually have to see it to really see how funny this is. But Cam, I just absolutely adore this movie. And to quote Mr. Bob Wiley, the simplest way to put it I have problems.
It seems like a funny movie. I just looked it up, and also I believe Richard Dreyfuss is the guy from Jaws.
That is absolutely correct. And Close Encounters of the Third Kind and some others.
So yeah, that'll be a definitely cool watch. After I watch Groundhog Day, I'll definitely have to watch that. So yeah, you should, if you like these movies, definitely check them out. And that is all of our segments for this podcast, the Everything Podcast. Now would be a great time for me to advertise for my own YouTube channel. It is called Fozzie. I make gaming content. Uh, yeah, mostly gaming content. Sometimes I'll just talk about things I want to talk about. It's a really exciting channel. Any games you really want to see are pretty much on that channel. I do a bunch of different games. And if you're interested in that, make sure to check out my channel and subscribe, because I assure you that you'll like it. And also subscribe to this channel, the Everything Podcast. And a huge thank you for Will for doing this with me. He will be on all of our future podcasts. And yeah, that is it for our first episode of the Everything Podcast. Thanks for watching. Will, would you like to say anything?
I would just like to again say, Cam, thank you so much for having me on. I just think this is a great podcast idea, and I'm honored to be on anytime.
All right, great. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and goodbye.